and they're so-called white people, except for David Wood. He might be one of us because he got a good beatbox.
That's right.
He got a great beatbox, better than your rhyming. He can beatbox. Except for David Wood. He might be one of us because he got a good beatbox.
Okay, so there's one question about the Hebrew Israelites.
Yes.
So, you know how one of the Hebrew Israelites, quote unquote, said that when you're 12 years old, legally you can have, you know what, you know. Try not to say the word because, you know.
Yeah.
So, and even it says in the 1 Corinthians 7:36 that if any man thinks he behaves himself uncommonly toward this virgin, as long as she passed the flower of her age, he sinneth not, let them marry.
Yeah.
And that's talk about a woman's first menstrual cycle. Now, don't get it wrong. Nobody is teaching to go out there and do that in this society. This is simply for biblical edification, just to make that clear.
Which is, you know, it's actually funny, because in Japan, you can actually legally marry a woman at 12 to 13. Because that's the age of consent in Japan.
Which is where the Most High is. But as far as the kingdom of the Most High is going to be built here on the earth.
So you believe in heaven, but you don't believe in hell?
Well, again, hell is in the Bible. The word hell is in there. However, by definition, the word does not mean a place where you burn it. When you read the scriptures, the word hell either means a condition or the grave.
How about Job chapter 11 verse 8? It says, "It is the highest as heaven, thy cast thee deeper than hell." No, so let me ask you this question: why does it say cast thee deeper than in hell?
Okay, and I would answer that with the book of Amos. I believe it's 5 and 9. I could be mistaken, but it's in Amos. It says, "For though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. And though they climb up to heaven, thence shall I bring them down." Now my question would be, if you're going to use that to me, can a man actually build up to the actual heaven of the Most High? And if the answer to that is no, well then by default, saying that they dig into hell is simply talking about how they dig down into the earth. For example, okay, we spoke about this before. I just wanted to go over again because I need a better understanding, because you didn't really go into it, about the Sunday law. I'm going to say it again. According to you, the Sunday worship is the mark of the beast, correct?
And the chip.
And the chip.
So it's like half and half.
What one's the mark of the beast then?
What?
What one's the mark of the beast? The Sunday law or the mitzvah?
Well, the Sunday law has to do with worship, as I stated before.
Okay.
And I give you scriptures on that. We had a little debate about that.
But, okay, so how is an atheist going to take the mark of the beast if it's Sunday worship?
If they worship the beast in his image and they get the microchip,
okay,
and they were warned by it.
So let me make myself clear. The beast is according to you, Pope Francis, right?
The Vatican, yeah.
Okay. So you're telling me the six-pack Uncle Joe is going to go and worship Pope Francis?
Well, I'm not saying literally, but spiritually.
So how are they hold on.
It has to do with worship.
How are they spiritually going to worship somebody else if they don't even believe in anything that's spiritual, because they don't believe in a higher power?
I believe that it doesn't really matter to me. I just believe that.
Well, if it didn't matter, then why does the Bible mention his skin color?
Technically, it might not mention his skin color, because technically you can walk out on a beach, right? Barefoot. Your feet will actually start turning, they'll start smoking and eventually turn black.
Yeah.
So he could have been white. You don't. Technically, you can walk out on a beach, right? Barefoot. Your feet will actually start turning, they'll start smoking and eventually turn black.
Yeah.
So he could have been white. You don't.
We give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Recha HaKwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Also, I want to give us a seer, Shalom, to the elect, scattered abroad amongst all the nations and peoples and tongues, okay? I want to go in this video here. The brother, I don't know his name, Salakia. His channel is called End Times Teachers. He wanted me to do a video response. And I looked at the debate, and he follows the Great Millstone. No doubt he's hitting all the points. And it's about 33 minutes long. And it was a cordial debate, but it was, it was on point, all the scriptures he was hitting. with scriptures that I would have hit, but I wanted to go into a couple things real quick if I can. I mean, these debates, scriptures in 1 Peter 3:15 says, always be ready to give an answer, to a man that asks you a reason of hope. Now, this other guy, I believe he might be a Jake too. Now, the taller brother, he's the one on the left, who's follows Great Millstone. And the other guy on the right, he seems to be sincere, the way I see it anyway, and him asking some of his questions. So, and the reason why I put the clip in there in the beginning, with Apostle Tahar, with speaking of David Woods, who, we say he could be an Israelite because the fact that you can't just go on a skin color. It's not the fact that, a lot of people get on us about saying that white-looking people are Israelites. David Woods might be an Edomite. It's just the fact that, he may have characteristics of being a Jake, although he's kind of bugged out. It's just the fact that the Israelites are going to look like these guys, that you see on the screen. They're not all going to look black. We got to cut that out, man. They are not all going to look black. That is insane to think all Israelites are just going to be black. Daniel the 12th chapter and about the 10th verse says, I'm just paraphrasing, says none of the wicked shall understand. You got Jake that know the truth and turn out to be wicked. So they really didn't truly quite get it. Anyway, it went on quite a few things. I can't remember. It was so many things he touched on. It was a quick, fast debate on certain things. I didn't get to part 2. But he went into Jesus being so-called black. Quite a few things. The mark of the beast, saying it's Sunday worship in the Vatican, but it's the chip too. Yeah. The menstrual flower, a woman, a young woman of her age, when is she ready to conceive? Just a few things. But I want to touch on, because I would be here all day trying to break down this video because they went into so many topics. So I'm gonna just jump to the points. We're going to go first into this thing with let me go to the thing with the Vatican, okay? When they say the Vatican is the mark of the beast, or Babylon or something like that. Let's go to Revelation. I'm not going to stick to it, but you got to read it for yourself. Go to Revelation 17th chapter and the 15th verse. In fact, it would be a mystery because when you read the 5th verse, it says, and upon her forehead was a name mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. Right? Now, everybody know the wicked don't sleep where they do the wicked. Right? You're not going to sleep where you do all your wickedness at. So, these people that run the world, they sleeping over there. So, where's this wicked place? That was number one. America, Babylon, when we say America, was set up under slavery. Okay, that has to be the most wicked land on the planet. Read Numbers 35 and 32 and 33. Right, this place was brought in for trade, import, export. This was set up for the storefront of the world. Right, so I'm just going to go to verse 15. And he saith to me, the water which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Okay? So, what place on the planet that you have more of that going on? That's America. Okay? Let's go, and if you can't get it, you can't get it, because I'm trying to hit quite a few points in a short amount of time. Revelations 18 and 11. And 10, it says, stand afar off for the fear of her torment, talking about Babylon, saying, alas, alas, that great city. See, everybody think the Vatican because it says Vatican City. The word city just comes from citizen, okay? First of all, this whole place is a city, okay? That great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour thy judgment cometh, right? And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. How many people buying merchandise from the Vatican City on high levels? Who has the biggest trade on the stock market? And don't tell me the Vatican City. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk, the scarlet, and all thine wood and all manner of vessels, ivory, all manner of vessels, okay, of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble, talking about all your furniture, all your goods, all these things, you know. When these revelations was sought, this is what he saw, you know. You're going to have tables, furniture, desks, cars, you know, little incense, air fresheners. Goes on to say, and cinnamon and odors, okay, and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts, talking about your food. And sheep and horses, chariots, talking about your cars, your planes, your buses. And slaves and souls of men, right? Because you have people come back and forth and trade and export. And you can read this whole thing, you know. You can read this whole thing. The Revelation 18th chapter proves this is not talking about the Vatican, man. It have nothing to do with Vatican City. That's an old doctrine that other Israelites picked up on as well. But I want to jump over here to the this hell doctrine. Let me see if I can squeeze this in. Matthew 5:30. And it goes, I'm going to show you there's two different hells and there's two different heavens. Okay? Heaven is a condition where somebody might say, hey, I'm in heaven. I'm living good. And heaven meaning above, okay? Or over, so to speak, in the spirit realm. Then you have hell, which people would be in a condition of say, damn, I'm in hell. And then you have hell where you are in, well, I'll read that. And really it's just one or the other. It says, this is Matthew 5:30. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. Okay? So, well, let me go into Psalms first. Okay? Let's go into Old Testament. Psalms 139:8. If I ascend into heaven, thou art there. Thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Right? So everybody think it's some big lake of fire in hell, you know, and you laying up in hell in the bed or whatever. I don't know. So let's go to this word hell. 875:85. You got to go into the words to understand what hell is talking about. Okay? The word is Sha'al. Okay? 875:85. Sha'al. Let's see what it says. It says Sha'al means the underworld, the grave, hell, a pit. And I'll get to that in Matthew also. I'll break that down. We'll go into that. Underworld. When you're talking about an underworld, you're in the ground. You're under the actual world that's existing, which means you're dead. That's all that means. That's why it says underworld, grave, hell, pit. And I'll get into that in a second, Lord's will. The Old Testament for the abode of the dead. Okay? Like when you had the world wars and you had a whole bunch of people who died. You know what they did? They dug a big pit and they threw everybody in that pit. You know? And that pit was hell. Okay? And then they would set, if they had diseases or they had to get rid of the bodies, they would burn them. Just like with the big outbreak or whatever, they would dig a pit and they would put the bodies in the pit and they would set it on fire. That's what you would call your hellfire. It says a place of no return because you died. Your body's not coming back. Your spirit will. Okay, you'll come back in a new body without praise of God. That's what I was just saying. When you're in a condition of suffering, you know, and the Most High is not with you. This is what happened to the Israelites. We were cast to hell. You know, a wicked sent there for punishment, just like when you go to prison. And you know, a prison might have even been in the pit, like underground, or old school, like years and years ago. They dug big pits and threw you down in the pit and shut it. That would be hell. That's where you got punished. Righteous not abandoned to it. A place of exile, extreme degradation and sin. Okay, you know, you was cast into prison. That's all hell is. It's a grave. It's a pit. Okay. Let's go to Matthew 5:30. I'm just going to go into this where it says cast into hell. Let's see what this hell is. Now, when you go to Revelation, it says hell, it says Hades, which is similar to the same thing, the so-called underworld. And the underworld is basically the ground, the pit. Okay, so I'm trying to make this quick. Hell, G1067, which means Gehenna. Okay, G1067. Okay, it says Gehenna. Let's see where that is. Okay, it says hell is the place of the future punishment called Gehenna, or Gehenna of fire. Right. This was originally the valley of Hinnom, south of Jerusalem, where the filth and the dead animals of the city were cast out and burned. That's what I was just going into. Dug into a pit, and the filth was thrown in and burned. Okay? Just like you had witches strung up, burned, or you had them thrown in pits and burned. A fit symbol of the wicked and their future destruction. Okay? So when they were charged to be put to death, you would be burned, okay, and thrown in the pit. So somehow the Roman Catholics and this doctrine that came out that said, let's scare people into Christianity. Let's scare people if they don't follow Christ. And then they put the white Jesus up. That comes to my next thing. That all ties in. That's why they put the damn white Jesus up. Because we wouldn't follow that. But then it was indoctrinated on us. If we don't follow that white Jesus, we'll be thrown in the lake of fire. The almighty loving God that you Christians claim that love God loves all and every creature on earth. But somehow he's going to change. He's going to get upset and real ugly and mean. And he's going to take all the souls and burn them in the lake of fire, which souls don't burn because they are nothing but energy. But this is the ideology and the sickness of these doctrines that was put on us to force us into Christianity. And now that it's failing, they're trying to bring it back to you. Okay? So that brings me back to Revelation, the first chapter. You know? What John the Revelator saw. And I'm trying to do this quick because there was so many topics. The one thing that I think got to me is this, I don't know who the cameraman is, but he says that Jesus walked in you can walk in sand and somehow your feet turn black. I've never seen no shit like that. I'm just going to be honest. I'm a so-called black man, and my feet never got darker by walking in the sand. I don't understand it. That earth is still a part of you. When you walk in the sand is not the worst thing in the world where you can walk. I mean, it's been nice, hot summer days, and I put my feet in sand, and it never burnt my feet. That means nobody would be on the beach. And I've never heard anybody turn white, who was so-called white, turn black from even sitting in the sand. This is that white supremacy that is pushed on us, that we understand now that if Jesus was not a white man, and now that the proof has come out, the architects and the proof and historical facts and the Israelites have proven that, now, okay, we know he ain't white, but you know what? He ain't black either. Anything to take the credit away from him, the one you call Jesus, looking like us. Now, if Jesus was a so-called white man, then why did they have what you call a cataclysm to cover up the image? And if he was so-called an olive color man, which olives are either red, black, or green, he's not red and he's not green. So what color is he? And even if he did look so-called olive according to what you people say, that's still closer to black. You got light-skinned black people. But anything not to say that Jesus was not a so-called black man. Yes, he was a very dark black man. and we'll get into that. It doesn't matter what he looked like. Let's go to Revelation 1 and 2. This is talking about John, the Revelator. I'm going to just read the point. The servant of John, who bear record of the word of Yahweh, God, and of the testimony of Jesus Christ, Yahweh, and of all the things that he saw, right? Of all the things that he saw. So he goes on to say his head is like wool, right? His head is like wool. And then when he looked down in his feet, you bow down and look at his feet. It was like unto fine brass if they burned in the furnace. Okay. So let's go on down to 14. I'm going to try to make this quick. And his head and his hairs were white like wool. When you look at the old English word of wool, it was hair of the Negroes. Go look it up. As white as snow, because he had white woolly hair. His eyes were a flame of fire from drinking wine, right? And his feet like unto fine brass if they burned in the furnace. Why did he say his feet? Because you couldn't see his legs. He had a garment, a girdle and a garment down to the paps. When you read the 13th chapter, he had a long garment. So what he saw was his feet. Like, damn, man, they'll do anything to take the credit away from the Most High's Son. He was not a so-called white man. He was not an olive-complected man. He was a so-called black man. See, these people want you to stay ignorant, man. And his feet like unto fine brass as if they burned in a furnace. Burned mean past tense. This guy said, oh, red and glowing. Nah, that's another interpretation. False, wrong, lost again. As if they burned past tense in the furnace. You take a white piece of paper and you put it in the furnace and let it cook. Yeah, it'll glow red, but when it's done, it'll be burned in the furnace. Let's go to another scripture real quick. This is sickening, man. Let's go to Daniel 10 and 5. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like a beryl, okay, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes and lamps of fire, and his arms. See, now it's going into the arms, and his feet like in color, right? Don't they call us colored? Remember that? Like in color to polish brass, right? Polished brass. And the voice of his words were like a voice of the multitude. I don't have too much else to go on it. I just wanted to touch on it. I don't know if I'll touch on another part, but there were so many parts of the video. I think the brother hit all the points. And I think in that short amount of time, you're trying to debate, 30 points in a short amount of time. But it's all about truth's sake. And this is why the truth is more and more getting out there. And it's causing more and more controversy. And it's going to cause more and more people to see that this is the truth. And they'll get out of Christianity. And they'll say, the Bible, this kind of God, I don't want to believe that. That's not how I was raised. Or you're going to have a lot that wake up out of Christianity and come over to the truth. That's all I have on that. Shalom.